Hi guys, it's AJ, your favorite lesbian commentary YouTuber, back at you again with another banger video. And yes, I did do a retwist, so that's why my hair is curled. Oh, I just realized I don't have my beads back and I do not want to get castrated in the comments. Alright, it takes a lot of work for me to do that, so for now, is this good enough? I think I need some more right here. So today's video, we're going to go through Oracle's new TikTok page because for some reason, somebody let them have a new TikTok. I don't know who let it happen, but somebody let it happen. So now we have no choice but to go through it. His page was deleted a while ago. He's had like 3 or 4 TikTok pages now that have been deleted by TikTok and banned. But he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back like Jeepers Creepers. Do you like my outfit? I wanted to go with something cute and casual today. Kind of like lounge wear, you know what I'm saying? Copywritten music. Okay, let's go through. Let's see. They said, you're on your 5th account. 5th account? At that point, you can tell people don't want you here, so leave. If people don't want you here, then go. Nobody wants you here. Stop being here then.
So this is just an update on our crowdfunding. We raised $5 out of the 50 needed for groceries for Seba and I for the next few days.
So they're still begging. He is still begging online. Okay, good to know. He's staying true to his roots still. He needs $50. Okay, again, why are you not rationing your money better? Because I know you get money from Patreon and all these things. If you're getting that much money, like, it's up to you to ration that. It's not their fault that you blew through all the money you already had on food.
I wait for my Patreon funds to drop. Yeah, we could really use the help so that we can eat, nourishing meals.
In the comments, tell me what you think a nourishing meal is to Seba. No. Who is this? Toya. Tell me what you think a nourishing meal is to Toya / Oracle. What do you think his definition of a nourishing meal is?
Seba was able to cook, a little sausage for me and send it over yesterday. But yeah, we really need food, y'all. We really need food.
I don't think he really needs food. I'm gonna say it right now.
The Hawaiian approach to sex and sex education seem to be fruitful in many ways. Sexual dysfunctions such as impotence and inhibitions of desire or lack of orgasm among males or females common enough in Western society today were reportedly unknown or at least rare. So ain't no Viagra. And yeah, I noticed in myself that once I left the United States, my libido has been through the roof.
It was anyway.
I no longer feel like, I'm sexually frustrated or, my sexual needs aren't being met because I feel so much vitality. Sex was a salve and glue for the total society. It also makes me think, I read about how bonobos, they're monkeys that are closely related to human beings, will often solve conflicts, their societal conflicts, through sex.
But you're not Hawaiian. You're you. Here's the thing. I do believe there are people out there who can have positive relationships with sex and all this stuff, but I don't think he can. He can't. Other people can. He cannot. Because he doesn't. He has a weird relationship with sex and masturbation and all that kind of stuff.
I also lost a friend towards my stance on Haiti and just people of the global South in general. They were African American and they told me that they couldn't care about Haiti, that they didn't have the time to care about Haiti, that they had to think about themselves first. This person also allowed me to be homeless.
Isn't that what you do though? Isn't that what you do? Don't you think about yourself first? Haven't you said in the past that you have to make sure you're good before anything else? I swear in my first video or my second video about him, he says like, I need to make sure I'm good. My mom didn't make sure that we were good. She was helping everybody else, but not us. So I have to make sure that I'm good. I feel like that's something he said, and I feel like he's a hypocrite.
Refuse to house me.
Okay, the thing that I struggle with being somebody who's like on the far left is that I care so deeply about issues around the world, and they genuinely like make me cry and make me feel things. But then you have to think about, okay, how much can I personally do about this? The answer is not much. Petitions and stuff do very little. unless you're willing to be in the streets causing violence about it, unless you're willing to be a martyr, it's really hard to make a change as an individual. It might be messed up for somebody to say, I don't have time to think about this other place. But I empathize with it. I understand the feeling of being like, I don't have the emotional energy to worry about all these other global issues happening when I'm also experiencing a global issue in my home. Like, I don't think people are crazy for that kind of stuff.
And has now gone on this TikTok tirade to call me abusive.
Because you are.
They literally wanted me dead. They couldn't care less that I was homeless because they were protecting their right to comfort, their light-skinned partner's right to comfort.
Protecting their right to comfort. They were protecting their right to comfort. And tell me why this is a bad thing. I would like to know why this is a bad thing.
And yeah, they also told me that they didn't care about my people, Haitian people. But you're the victim. Like, American exceptionalism is truly, truly eating people alive. And yeah, I had to cut this person off. I don't care if you think I'm mean. Bye.
Nobody thinks you're mean. We think you're annoying.
There is so much grief that I feel doing decolonization work, thinking about the people that I lost along the way. Like the people that were stuck in their own mental prisons to the point that we could not connect. Like, I remember wanting to cuddle with one of my friends who was 10 years older than me. And they refused to cuddle with me because they said they didn't want to cuddle with me because of our age gap. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Is it possible they were lying to you? Because if I didn't want to cuddle with somebody either, I would say that. Didn't you say in the past you literally used to shower like once every 2 weeks? 2 to 3 weeks? I wouldn't want to cuddle with you either, honestly. I'm scared! Toya's gonna try to cuddle with us, you guys. Yeah, I'm assuming that friend was lying to you. I'm sure it wasn't because of the age gap. I'm sure if they were friends with you anyway, they didn't really care about the age gap. I'm sure it was just because you stink. Or they didn't like you like that. You don't have to cuddle with your friends. I've cuddled with my friends before. Would I cuddle with all my friends? No. There are certain friends you cuddle with, there are certain friends you don't cuddle with, and you clearly were not a cuddling friend for this person.
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck did colonization do to us? Where I could not have this intimate experience with somebody that I cared for.
All I hear is, I. Why is it messing? Why do they not want to have a cuddle with me? Why can't I have this experience with this person because I want to? Yeah, they don't want to, but why can't I do it anyway?
Or the fact that my ex-partner physically assaulted me out of jealousy from the fact that I was seeing other people, which she was aware of, which we discussed because I told her I was polyamorous. But again, because...
I wonder how that conversation went. I wonder if the conversation went like this. Oh yeah, we should start dating. Oh yeah, I agree. Just so you know, I'm poly. Okay. And then no further discussion, and then they're just like dating other people. I don't see them as the kind of person who would be ethically poly. And you know what's crazy? So poly people get a bad rap. I don't judge you poly people. I'm not one of you, but I don't judge you. I've tried to be poly in the past. My partner got mad because I was getting more attention than she was. Not my partner I have now, an old partner. And I think communication matters a lot. Honestly, in my circles, I don't know if it's all queer circles are like this, but I feel like it's less likely to be monogamous. Like, I feel like it's more likely that I come across LGBT people who are poly than monogamous.
Of mental slavery, because of colonization, she felt like she could control me and possess me and decide who I could and could not have relationships with. But anyway, it's very, very painful to have to let people go because
Is it painful for you?
Haven't done their decolonial work.
Have you?
And you have to choose to do it. You have to choose to heal those wounds and the trauma caused by colonial.
Okay.
Where it talks about virginity, promiscuity, and monogamy in pre-contact Hawaii. Aside from restrictions of class and family, there were few sex taboo for common people. Masturbation, sex between uncommitted individuals, paired individuals having lovers, liaisons, polyandry, polygyny, homosexual patterns of behavior, and such were all accepted practices. Sex was considered to be good and healthy for all, young and old included. Virginity was considered to be a virtue only for female chiefs, where genealogy was crucial.
Once paired with a chief, the chiefess, like the commoner she ruled over, could have as many lovers or additional permanent sexual partners as she desired. One missionary, Reverend Thurston, described a secondary wife of Kalaniopuu, ruling chief of the island of Hawaii, in Cook's time. By her own admission,
I'm really trying not to zone out because I know there's a part in here where he ends up talking, and I think we need the context first. And I've gotten roasted in my last video because I was like zoning out at some points, but it's so hard when I don't care. Like, his voice is so annoying. I feel like I try to dissociate through it. My necklace! I don't have a necklace on. Hold on, guys. Gosh, this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened today. Now I feel normal again. I have... sorry, I'm not used to seeing my hair so flat. It stresses me out when my hair is freshly done because it's so flat. Where's the volume? Where's the volume? Oh my gosh. Okay.
He was considered. Today we are going to be reading about sexual behavior in pre.
How come only Seba has a mask on? Huh? Why don't you need a mask? Why does only she have a mask on? Explain.
Contact the Black community. We're on a journey of decolonizing. We want to provide resources not only for ourselves but for others.
Nudity. In traditional Hawaii, nudity was not seen primarily as being sexual. Warm climate often dictates less clothing. The basic dress was a malo, loincloth for adult males, and a lip or tapa, bark, skirt for adult females. The female breasts were not covered. A tapa robe might be added for protection against the cold or sun, not for modesty. Cloth has a practical, sense to it, and that is for practicality. For these people, was like, well, it's imperative that we be nude. It's what the land requires.
The positive act.
You guys notice that when Seba talks, she's often looking at Toya for approval. I feel like that's something I've noticed. Like, when Toya just talks, he will be like talking to the camera and maybe occasionally glance at Seba, but isn't like looking at her for approval. But she definitely does.
And I was saying that this reminds me of, again, like Afro cultures, like in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, in particular, there are names for the genitals, like the vagina is the punani, and even in like Jamaican dance hall, I would equate Jamaican dance hall to like these chants in the sense that, yeah, like that punani nani, like you're.
See, when he's looking at Seba, it's not for approval. He's just talking. But when Seba looks at him, you can tell it's like a little bit of like a questioning. Am I saying the right thing? Like, I don't know. But I will say, don't we say pussy? People sing songs about pussy on the dance floor.
Sex training was direct and firsthand. Young individuals learned of coitus and sex play from instruction, direct observation, and practice. This is literally what I was talking about in the first video, where I was saying,
I want to know who wrote this. Who wrote the article? Who wrote it? Who wrote the study? Because we also used to let children marry adults. Which, granted, I think Toya is pro that. But not everything from the past is correct. I don't really think I have the ability to input on what Hawaiians do. I'm not Hawaiian. I know I might look Hawaiian, but I'm not Hawaiian. So, if you're Hawaiian, sound off in the chat. I feel like he's using this as an excuse to push forward his weird beliefs.
You're supposed to have sex if you don't know what it is, what it looks like, how to do it. And no, reading from books and receiving lectures is not enough.
I could see how in some way, shape, and form, it might possibly be beneficial if we did not live in the society we do today. But unfortunately, pedophiles run rampant. And unfortunately, actually I lied. I can't see. I'm trying to rationalize it. I am trying to be empathetic and rationalize it. I just can't imagine showing a child sex on purpose. I just can't. I'm sorry. I tried to be like, okay, maybe it'd be helpful for this and that. No. If people want to know how to have sex, they'll find out. They will find out anyway. They'll just do it. They literally will just do it.
The age of consent laws in Western societies were always created to criminalize Black and brown and indigenous people. There was a news story last year where a Black boy, I believe he was like maybe like 19, went on a family vacation and he hooked up with a 17-year-old girl.
The family of an 18-year-old British tourist say he is stuck in a nightmare as he faces 20 years in Dubai prison over a holiday fling with a 17-year-old girl. Marcus Fakana was reported to Dubai authorities by the strict mom of a 17-year-old girl he has sex with on holiday. The girl is also from London and has since turned 18. While the same relationship would have been legal in the UK, the age of consent in Dubai is 18 and it is strictly enforced. Marcus's family has set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for legal fees. He is only 18 years old, very scared, and his mental health is starting to decline. The page reads,
The hookup was consensual, but because of the age of consent laws, he was criminalized. He was criminalized and charged for statutory rape because of the age of consent laws, despite the fact that their interaction was consensual. Likewise, there are young people
This is an example of him using, I've said this in the past, he uses examples that everybody's going to agree with to sneak in his weird ideas. Like how in the past he was like, you should not cover kids' eyes for seeing gay people kissing and also homeless people masturbating. He's like bringing in his weird take under something that he knows everybody's going to agree you should not cover kids' eyes if they see gay people kissing because that's like a normal thing that straight people do all the time. But nobody wants to see a homeless person masturbating, especially not a kid. Everyone's going to agree that an 18-year-old being put in jail for having sex with a 17-year-old is ridiculous, especially because it was consensual. But he's using that as a way to sneak in the idea that because this age of consent in this country is horrible, age of consent in general is a horrible thing. We should not have an age of consent. Anybody should have sex with anyone.
was a young person too who lie about their age in order to have sex with people that are older than them.
And that's messed up. That's really messed up for you to admit to. You could not drag that information out of me. You used to lie about your age to have sex with adults because now this person is not, they did not consent to have with a minor. I would feel violated if I hooked up with somebody and then learned they were a minor after. Like, I'd feel completely and utterly violated. Like, I understand it's supposed to be the reverse, you know, like, you not supposed to have sex with, people with minors. But if a minor lies to you, and you have sex with them, and you didn't know that they were lying to you, would you not feel violated? I would feel violated, personally. So that's messed up for you, because that person did not consent to have sex with a minor.
So what should that tell us?
That you're messed up. It tells us that you're a freak. You're a freak.
What should that tell us if young people are being criminalized and their sexual autonomy is being restricted? We have people talking about how these behaviors are inappropriate, they're immoral. By whose standards?
Mine.
Oh, Judeo-Christian standards.
I'm not a Christian. I don't know who Judeo is, but I'm not a Christian. And I can tell you this right now. I do not like it when people who are very young have sex with people who are very old. That's not nice. I don't know if Christians care about that kind of stuff, if I'm being honest. Aren't they usually the ones who do the touch link anyway? I think in normal people standards, it's weird.
Not indigenous standards. Not indigenous standards pre-contact. Before the Europeans came with their Bible-thumping ways, people were allowed to explore their sexuality in a multitude of different ways. People were allowed to have sex with the people that they wanted to have sex with without being criminalized for it, without being told that they were going to go to hell for it. Hell doesn't exist in indigenous cosmology.
I want to know for Toya what the bar is. Because I feel like, well, they've made it very clear in the past that they think young people should be, oh my god! They've made it very clear in the past that young people should be able to have sex. And I feel like if I were to ask Toya, so if an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old decide they want to have sex with each other, should they be allowed? I feel like he would say yes.
Another reason Seba and I are creating this series, Living on the Edge, exploring sexuality, sexual practices, talking about sexual liberation, is because a lot of this information is...
Nobody asked for it, though. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wants it. I didn't ask for this.
Not available to the masses in a way that is accessible. A lot of the research on sexology done by academics is incredibly dense. It's hard
Like
to
you.
find. But as somebody that has had the privilege of receiving a college education and has also worked in education, I want to bring these concepts that may seem really foreign to the average person into, these public spaces, because knowledge should not be hoarded. I also think that this knowledge, sharing this knowledge, is really important for Black and Brown people, because we already practice a lot of these things in our communities, but have either been like shamed out of it or criminalized because of these things. Even though our bodies are simply remembering the ways of our ancestors. So, this storytelling work that Seba and I are doing is really about remembering who we are and who we were before the colonizers came and destroyed our ways of life, or at least attempted to.
Translation. I'm a pedophile and I would like to have sex with whoever I want, but people are telling me I can't. So I'm going to look and find research that supports me because I want people to not think I'm weird for wanting to have sex with minors. That's what I hear from him.
The problem with laws, rules, and regulations under a white supremacist patriarchal colonial system is that they are not rooted in reality. In the episode that Seba and I have been recording on Indigenous Hawaiian sexual practices pre contact,
Sometimes when I watch these videos, I feel like I get phantom breath. I feel like I can smell his breath phantomly.
Age comes up when it comes to talking about sexual practices, and at what age were people starting to have sex? And there was no prescriptive age. There was no age of consent, unlike in Western societies, there is an established age of consent. I'm not going to spoil the episode because it is worth watching in its entirety, but my position is that you cannot write into law the age in which a person is ready to have sex, because that is going to vary from person to person.
I think people aren't necessarily mad about. Well, people are mad when kids have sex, even with each other. It's it's just not something that is age appropriate for everybody. But that's not necessarily what bothers me the most. Like if a 14-year-old and a 14-year-old decide that they want to risk getting pregnant, I can't really do anything about that. I don't know you. I don't, But what people are upset about, and I don't think he's understanding what people are upset about, is he's using this as an excuse to be a pervert. Like he's saying that the age of consent shouldn't exist instead of like young people can have sex with each other and it's not against the law. What is against the law is an older person and a younger person having sex. That's what age of consent is for.
Trying to codify these things is always going to lead to criminalizing people's existences and causing more harm than good. The problem with laws, rules, and regulations under a white supremacist
is this next one also going to be about sex?
People who refused to house me when I was homeless and they had a home. People who refused to feed me when I didn't have food and they had food. People who refuse to emotionally support me and create space for me to grieve sure have a lot to say about me, given the fact that they no longer have access to me. You are okay with letting me die, and now you're upset that I am living. I'm living well. I'm living better than you.
No! No!
I'm living fully. I'm living honestly. I'm living with compassion.
Didn't they just ask for $50 for groceries? Didn't they just say they have no money for food? And they're living better than everybody?
For myself, I'm living.
And that is true. Something that they do have. They have compassion for themselves. They have so much compassion for themselves. Too much.
Courageously. I'm living joyfully. I'm living communally. In spite of your lack of care.
I'm living jollily. I'm living hopefully. I'm living lovingly. I'm living slovenly. I'm living
and support. I am here. And just like my namesake, Toya, I am victorious.
Tonight we are victorious.
People who refused to house me when I was homeless.
You guys know that song? Champagne pouring over us. All my friends are glorious.
Money is not a replacement for community.
Yes, it is.
Someone once said that someone who has nothing else to offer their community will just fork over some money. Money.
Who said it? Tell me who right now. Tell me who. I think you said that. I think you're the one who said that because somebody said if you don't have community, you just give money. If you have nothing to offer, you give people money. Somebody said that. I swear. Who?
Is not going to free us. Relationships will. One person that I live.
You're saying, wait, what? Hold on, let's go back.
Some money. Money is not going to free us. Relationships will. One person that I lived with who abused me complained that I wasn't financially supporting the household. When, number one, that wasn't true. I was financially supporting in the ways that I could, given my limitations. But
I paid them $3 in rent, and I don't know why they're mad at me. I paid them $3 in rent, but they're still mad at me for some reason.
more importantly, I was a caretaker. I was a homemaker, which is far more useful than just paying the rent.
No, it's not. No, it's fucking not. No, it's fucking not. What are you talking about? What are we talking? I feel like they're talking about germinating seeds again. Homemakers matter a lot. I do think homemakers matter, but what matters equally as much is making sure you have a home to make. If you don't have money to pay your rent, you do not have a home to even be making. You can be making a cardboard box on the streets, but you don't have a home to be making. You have no home. You're homeless. So I think that person was upset for a reason, a valid reason. If you were not contributing to the rent, but we're still being like, so you don't appreciate care tasks? You don't like homemakers? Sorry, this is
cooking, I was cleaning, I was emotionally supporting them and their children, offering spiritual guidance, which is invaluable.
Bruh.
But under capitalist society, those things that are necessary, that labor, the emotional and physical and spiritual labor that is demanded to keep our communities together is devalued. Money is not.
Or I think
a
maybe when you
replacement
do it, people
for
don't like it.
community. I just finished the last of my food and I need help with groceries for the next week until
I thought you were living well.
funds drop. I'm trying to raise at least $50 to feed myself and Seba since we do meal planning together so that we can eat for the next week. So I'm going to drop our payment information above. Please donate whatever you can. And for the last 30 seconds, I'm going to sing a song. I
No!
So Seba and I recorded the next episode for our Living on the Edge podcast today. We're starting a series. It's a read aloud series where we're going to be reading different texts, talking about indigenous sexual practices from a whole bunch of different indigenous ethnic groups.
Leave ethnic groups
alone. We're going
alone.
to be talking about is Hawaii.
Leave people alone.
And yeah, I'm really excited. There's a lot of really juicy information and wisdom to learn from. And I've already been making connections between, Hawaiian sexual practices and my Afro-Indigenous sexual practices. And yeah, like if y'all aren't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, go to the link in bio. We already have 3 episodes out. Check them out. We're talking about sexuality.
Do you guys want me to watch those?
About child liberation, that liberation of LGBTQ people, disabled people, sex workers, women. We're talking about sexual liberation. So if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe.
No, thank you.
So Seba and I recorded the next episode.
If this video gets, how many likes is appropriate? I'm a very small creator. Let's see. If this video gets 200 likes, then I will subject myself to watching Toya's podcast and make a video for you guys. Ra 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 da da da, Roma ma ga ga, ooh la la, I've got a feeling. Ooh. Sorry. Too nice.
Something else that's important to reflect on is whose feedback matters to you.
Not yours.
For me, the feedback that feels most relevant to me is the feedback that my body is giving me. But I also look to things like my plants, My plants are a great indicator of whether or not there's imbalance in my life. In so many abusive relationships that I have left,
or that you forgot to water them.
One of the first indicators that things were imbalanced was my plants dying. Um, or if I'm not creating as much anymore, like art or music, that is an indicator that there is imbalance in my life. Or if I'm experiencing a lot of physical pain, insomnia, emotional distress, those all serve as indicators that my life needs to return to balance.
You guys hear that rumbling? That's like, that's from the video. Does he have a Sibian on in the background?
And something needs to be sacrificed in order for that balance to be returned. Whether that's a need that needs to be communicated, boundaries that need to be set, etc. Something else that's important to reflect on is whose feedback matters to you.
Yeah.
Not be a therapist, you need to be accountable to yourself.
No! You need a therapist!
Very few therapists are going to tell you to leave that man alone.
Yes, they will.
Very few therapists will give you the necessary feedback that you need.
Yes, they will.
Where you won't need them.
How do you know?
Because it's a business at the end of the day.
I feel like many of us have gone through therapy, probably, knowing my audience. A lot of you guys have autism. A lot of you have autism from what I've gathered. I mean, samesies. I have a lot of stuff going on in here. My therapist was, when I started like healing more, she was like, you know what? Like, just schedule an appointment when you need one. Like, we don't have to do this weekly anymore. Like, schedule it when you need it. And my girlfriend's therapist, recently that happened too. She was kind of just like, let's do it on an as needed basis. Like, we don't have to have a schedule anymore. Therapists will do that with you once you start getting better. I think Toya is a perfect example of what happens when you don't have therapy. He was abused as a child, never processed that, was exposed to porn at a young age, never processed that, and now this is what happens when that happens to you. I am very pro therapy. Therapy honestly saved my life. Specifically DBT therapy for BPD. I used to be very crazy. I still am very crazy, honestly. But when I say crazy, people are like, oh, were you like, you used to yell a lot? No, I used to throw stuff. My BPD was so uncontrolled. And also, I didn't know I had BPD at first. So I just was like, why am I like this? Like, I didn't want to be doing the stuff I was doing, but it was happening anyway. And I was like, no. So it was a whole thing. It was a mess. People would do really messed up stuff to me. And then I would react very large because I had BPD. And then they'd be mad at me. And I'm like, you're the one who cheated. I could go into another video sometime about my BPD journey and stories with my, like, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, I'd get to talk to people and I would literally throw things across the room. Not at, like, I wouldn't throw things at people, but I'd, like, break my stuff. Like, I would just, like, knock my stuff over. Because I would just have so much emotions inside of me and so much things inside of me that I felt like I couldn't get it out. So I'd either, like, scream and, like, hit my head against the wall. Very common also. I'd bang my head against the wall until, like, I could just, like, I just want the thoughts to go away and stuff. I love oversharing on the internet. So if I blow up and people come out and they say, when I was with AJ, she broke this and this, believe them. Because I probably did. She used to bang her head against the wall because after this and this, believe them. I did do that. Yeah, but I already know exes of mine would probably come out with stuff like that. But actually, no, they wouldn't, because then I'd have to expose what they did to cause me to have those reactions, and I don't think they want me to do that. So never mind. What was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Don't want to collect their $75, $100, $200, what have you, each week for your therapy session. When you are in relationship to other people, you get to feel the weight of how your decisions impact others. You get to experience consequences for the choices that you make that impact others. And yes, those choices might bring up feelings of guilt and shame and anxiety, or the distance that is a consequence for the ways that you've mistreated others might cause you to feel disconnected from others and yourself and create symptoms of depression. So often people believe that their mental illness is an individual, personal thing, when it is relational. You feel anxious all the time, maybe because you feel like you always need to be in control.
I actually just have anxiety disorder. It's kind of crazy that they have these beliefs about other things, and they're like, I don't think very Westernly. I hate Western belief systems, yet they have a really, like, old-fashioned belief about mental health. Anxiety disorder exists. Yeah, I feel like I should be in control all the time, but also, I do think there's bugs in my food, and it makes me anxious. I I'm feeling like maybe I should go to therapy if I think there's bugs in my food. Have you ever thrown away a $20 pizza because you convinced yourself that the cheese was worms? Have you? Don't even talk to me yet, Ben.
You always need to control yourself and control others. Maybe you're depressed because you haven't cussed out your friend for betraying you.
No.
You haven't told them how you really feel about the
I am starting to see why they act the way they do. Because they are mentally unwell. And they're not doing anything about it. Because what do you mean? Maybe you're depressed because you haven't yelled at your friend. I've yelled at a lot of people in my life and I was still depressed. I was actually more depressed after. Actually, I think that's more common experience. If you yell at your friends, even if it's because they did something to you, don't you feel worse after? I had an ex once who was a lesbian, but still convinced me to let her a man for drugs. Granted, I don't even do drugs. So I didn't benefit at all from this.
that they've done. You don't need a therapist.
I think you need a therapist. I think Toya needs a therapist more than anybody here. Oh my gosh, it pisses me off. Because what do you mean you're not gonna get a therapist? See somebody, talk to somebody. You love talking. You're using internet as your therapy. You're literally using TikTok as a way to do talk therapy. You're talk therapizing on YouTube. Huh? On TikTok. Instead of talking to an actual person about it.
Do you know why I'm insufferable? Because whiteness is insufferable.
What? Do you know why I'm insufferable? Because white people exist. No, because you're annoying. Look at that face also. Sorry.
Patriarchy is insufferable. You have not seen insufferable until you've met an old white person with dementia pretending like they're a slave master on a plantation, calling their black home health aide the N-word. You're on your fucking deathbed. You have not insufferable until you've met a cisgender person that is living paycheck to paycheck, that has the time and energy to criminalize queer and trans people. You have not met insufferable until you've met
Toya.
an able-bodied person who just lost their job but has the time and energy to wail on a homeless disabled person. That is the definition of insufferable.
No.
So what am I gonna do? Double it and send it back.
But I didn't do those things and you're sending it to me.
A lot of people have community because you created prisons for yourself.
Huh?
You locked yourself in a cage and threw away the key.
No.
You locked yourself in the cage of compulsory heterosexuality.
I didn't do that.
And so you will never ever get to experience the joy of connecting with queer people, with gays and lesbians and bisexual people. Or you locked yourself in the cage of amatonormativity, where you only value romance, you're only looking for your spouse, your partner, and there's a whole community of people that you could connect with.
Friends.
But no, you just want to isolate yourself in a marriage. Or you created a prison out of your career. There's also the prison.
Maybe I'm a little too PC. Maybe I'm being too PC, but I think people are allowed to be monogamous. Sorry. I think people are allowed to be monogamous. I think people are allowed to just want to have one partner. I think people are allowed to do whatever they want, other than what he wants to do, which is children. Okay, I've heard it expressed many times by people who are poly, that if you are limiting yourself to one person, you're expecting this one person to fulfill all your needs, and that is not good. But I think some people it works for them. I love my girlfriend, hopefully my wife soon, and I don't really want to be intimate with somebody else. I don't want to have those parts of me be for somebody else. I want them to be for her, you know? So I understand the idea that maybe it's unethical to only give your punani to one person, but I just don't want to give it to somebody else. You know, like I don't want to. And you can't force me.
Of racism, where you only find value in relationships with white people or non-black people of color or light-skinned people. And you never seem to have the capacity to connect with people who are darker than you, that are fatter than you, or you don't want to connect with people.
Not me, though. My girlfriend is the skinniest person I've ever dated. I was used to be in the, like, I would only date women who were 250 or above. That was my That was my MO. And because in case Toya sees this, it's like, you have a white partner. I haven't always had a white partner. I've had large, black, dark-skinned partners in the past.
That are disabled. There's a creator on here, Christiana, that says that relationships are the most abundant resource we have. But y'all create a scarcity of relationships when you decide that certain people just aren't worth relating.
I think they're mad that you don't want to have sex with them, you guys. I think Toya might be mad that you don't want to connect with them. So go DM them and tell them hi.
Ooh. When I have a supportive, nourishing, abundant in-person community.
Hey, Ami. So I reached out to you a couple of weeks ago because I noticed that you were nearby to me, offering this supportive in-person community that you are seeking, and you rejected it. I told you that me and my friend were both Black trans people who were COVID conscious, and we wanted to get to know you. And you rejected that offer.
Valid.
Do you want to know why you rejected that offer? Oh, because you're anti-Black and trans.
And how are you going to tell somebody why they rejected your offer? It might have just been that they don't want to be friends with you. Maybe they just don't like you.
Transphobic. You're colorist. You're anti-trans masculine and trans-misogynistic. So,
You don't want to be my friend? Oh, it's because you're anti-black. You hate people with long hair. You hate people who wear the color purple. You hate people who have big lips. That's why you don't want to be my friend. It's not because I shitted on everything.
when my friend Seba and I saw you at the trans health clinic last week, Adrian, who was supporting you, was calling us over, trying to call us over to support you. But because you rejected my offer for friendship and community and told me in a TikTok message not to speak to you, me and Simba just kept going and turned the other way, and we refused to come and support you. What you need is right there, literally right there in front of your face. But because you want to believe the anti-Black and transphobic smear campaigns of white supremacists, you're not going to get community. You're not going to get the community that you seek because you yourself haven't unlearned your own internalized anti-Blackness and transphobia. You're not going to get the community that you want.
I think that person dodged the bullet because imagine you've seen Toya's social media presence and they ask to be your friend. No, fuck you. I don't want to be friends with you. Look at you. Look at how you act. Why you act like that? I wouldn't want to be friends with you either. Nobody wants to be your friend. That's why you have one friend. You have one friend who's willing at least to be publicly friends with you because nobody wants to be associated with that. I would be scared that if I was friends with you, it would ruin my career. That's probably why they don't want to be your friend. You are an annoying, awful person. Who wants to be friends with somebody like that?
I hope that gives you some things to journal about.
Let me know if anyone else is interested in a Discord server for other.
I'd like to understand, Mel, why a few weeks ago you removed me from this group that you created for disabled
Oh my god. Get a diary! Get a diary.
people. You advertise it as a safe space for disabled people to share our crowd funds and to receive emotional support. I'd like to understand why a group of predominantly non-Black people would remove me, a disabled Black trans person, from a group in which I was sharing my crowdfunding flyers, not only for myself, but for Nakakande and her family, who are Congolese refugees, who are also impacted by ableism. I'd like to understand why y'all keep creating these groups and fail to center the most marginalized people.
Because it's
Black
you.
people. I'd like to understand how somebody who is Iranian, who has...
I feel like in that group, Toya was probably like, I understand everybody in here is going through something, but I lost something once. And they try to center themselves in every situation. I can imagine they were irritating. Also, I also would not let them in any group. You cannot expect mutual aid from people in your community when your videos are literally shitting on those same people. When you, every single chance you get, essentially diss people for how they are and how they exist, yeah, they don't want to help you. You've made your online presence, you talking about children, you talking about how anybody who doesn't send you money is transphobic. People are gonna just, I don't know. I think I'm getting tired of this, honestly.
I'd like to understand why y'all keep creating these groups and fail to center the most marginalized people, Black people. I'd like to understand how somebody who is Iranian, who has been impacted by US imperialism, would kick out a Black trans person who is Haitian, who is also impacted by US imperialism.
Ugh. Buzzword, 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 buzzword. They just, everything that happens to them is not because of them. It's because he's Black, it's because he's trans, it's because he's fat, it's because he's ugly. That's why all these things are happening to him. It's not because of him himself.
From said group. I'd like to understand why white people were taking up so much space in said group, and yet me, one of the few, if not only Black people that was speaking in that group about the issues I was facing, was removed.
Because you're annoying.
Those settler colonialists were allowed to stay. I'd like to understand why you non-Black people never seem to have capacity for confrontation and conflict.
Not everybody wants to be yelled at. Not everybody wants to argue with their friends all the time. That's allowed. Not everybody wants to has to want to yell and be talked at. Me personally, when I'm arguing with people, I do not allow them to yell at me or curse at me. I do not allow that. And I feel like if people say in general they don't want to argue with you, they're allowed to not want to argue with you.
And conflict resolution, but you always seem to have the capacity for anti-Blackness and being carceral, like removing people from groups in which they're trying to get their material.
Which is not anti-Black. They just don't like you.
So please explain to me in plain terms why I was removed by you, Mel, from said group.
Because you're annoying.
Every capitalist family, every family that subscribes to white supremacist patriarchal values has a family slave. That is how they are able to continue to function and thrive. Like I said, when I was 8 years old, I was working for my mother for free. She
Me
was
too.
exploiting my labor. I'd be in the basement of her office filing papers.
You're not special. You're not special. Sorry.
Papers, shredding papers. After people left for the workday, she would have me clean up the entire office.
It's crazy how similar me and Toya's backstories are, and look where we ended up. Oh, very different places.
My father sexually assaulted me at 8 years old.
You need therapy.
As I aged, my family continued to exploit me in other ways, like my younger sister. I would do her hair, do her makeup, but when I needed her help, she was never there. It was like I was her personal assistant, an unpaid personal assistant. In Haiti, we have this classist system called the reste avec system, where if a member of the family cannot take care of their child, they will essentially have that child be adopted by a wealthier family. But that child essentially becomes a slave for that family. The child is promised education, the child is promised a future, but in reality, the family is just using that child for slave labor. That is the purpose that I served in my family system. And anyone who entered my family system, whether it be by marriage, even my ex-partner who became a part of my family system, also treated me as a slave. They fell in line. We don't want to talk about these things, but please know that anytime Black folks are talking about Black capitalism I also know that the treatment I'm receiving is just pure racism, because it's white leftists that are talking about, oh, your mother's a millionaire, we shouldn't support you. Meanwhile, they're actively supporting people like Vivian, Elon Musk's daughter, who denounced her father. So you can continue to support her, knowing that her father is a millionaire.
She didn't say that she thinks kids should watch porn.
Billionaire. But when I denounce my family and what they did, that's not deserving of support at all. Let me remind you that Black capitalism is just as criminal as when white people do it. In 2024, people learned that Dr. Dre's daughter was homeless and living in her car while her children were being watched by her friends. Much similarly, like I said before, my mother was putting money into the pockets of other people. Literally, she was paying the rent of my sister's ex-husband who abused her and who I helped get out of an abusive marriage. She was paying his rent while I was homeless. You cannot claim to be revolutionary if you're actively isolating people who have been victimized by capitalism. If the end goal is...
What if I'm somebody who's been victimized by Toya? I've been victimized by Toya Oracle. What can I do? I would like my reparations right now.
White supremacy, settler colonialism, in order for it to be powerful, in order for it to have lasted that long, needed to evolve. And what better way to absorb more and more people into the system of death and destruction than by enlisting a few tokens amongst oppressed groups to do its bidding? People like AOC, Zoran Mamdani, Eric Adams, they are neo-colonizers. They're tokens that have been chosen by the settler colonialist apparatus to further its aims. Likewise, the people that I called out who abused me these past few years were Black people who aligned themselves with empire and enlisted armies of people of
Oh God, okay. This video is already too long. I'm gonna just be done for now. I will film another video. Like I said, if we get to 100 likes on this video, which shouldn't be that hard to reach, hopefully, I will watch their podcast and do a reaction to the podcast. Because this footage is now basically over an hour long. And I'm filming this on Wednesday, and this needs to go out on Thursday. So it's a lot I need to edit. My brain power is essentially gone. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at ajtalksalot. Also, some of you guys don't know, I make music. So add my music to your Spotify playlist or something. My artist name is Lady Lover. Oh, on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, I am following back the first 1,000 people who follow me. So I have been trying my best to follow people back, like, basically almost immediately after. If not, within the same day that you follow me, you will get a follow back. It's just, I'm not always on my phone. What else would I like to say to you? I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers on my birthday, which is November 23rd. We have almost 2 months to reach that. So hopefully we get it. We're almost at 6K when I'm filming this video. So hopefully we get 10K by my birthday. That'd be fun for me. I also just realized my ears need to pop so bad. I feel like I'm talking underwater. I cannot hear my voice. Do I sound weird? I feel like I'm freaking underwater, man. Okay. My ears are so, oh my god. Oh, I'm gonna